So each section that I take, the width of it is me considering the width of my foil. Big question is where they want to see their brightness when they pull their hair back into a ponytail. When it's down around their face, I want her to be able to see some soft highlight, not harsh, not a big band of blonde going back, but a soft highlight through when she puts her hair up. They're a little bit stiffer, and so for me, it actually helps when you're painting, especially through the ends of the hair and a lot of hair. So like I said, if you go anywhere longer than this here, you won't see the highlight when she pulls her hair up into the ponytail. So I'm gonna go right at where I know I want it and then actually feather up a little bit from there. Because remember, we're actually going to shadow tone afterwards. So you always want to highlight a little bit higher than where you want your shadow tone to be eventually. And typically it's not a problem because everybody knows on a doll head they have kind of a freakish amount of thick hair at their hairline, whereas on a client, typically this area is very, very fine and you can afford to fold your foil a little bit more. Typically if they had this much hair in a section, I might not fold all the way up, but in this case it makes sense because you will see why. And I'm leaving that little bit of a low light out to create even more softness at that root when she puts her hair up. So now we're gonna leave this low light. Next section, we just have about 2 more sections of baby light and we will be good to go. So that's really important to be aware of what her hair looks like in a ponytail. How many times could we save ourselves from a lot of pain went by just not having to go back through foils and reapply anything. So we're gonna leave that little, this little low light because this low light in the front is actually gonna be a nice little backdrop for this pop of color right there. Just to give us two soft kind of rows of highlights just through there. So we're gonna drop that hair down and this is gonna be another nice little money ribbon, kind of extending that money piece from up here further down. And I always kind of just give it a quick crease on either side to keep everything really contained and neat. Now at this point, you could complete this portion on the other side, or if you're jamming through foiling, you could work the front, the whole side, same on the other side. Now in this section, you're only gonna have like 3 to 4 sections of highlights. If you look at where this hair is falling, it's right in line with where those highlights were at the top. So you wanna make sure I'm already starting my highlight pattern as low as what this top highlight pattern was and doing just a slight diagonal back. Just a slight diagonal back, okay? You're always thinking about how high up you're painting your baby lights, your painting patterns, meaning the diagonal backs, the inverted V's, and so on. And you're just always considering exactly where you're at in the head. So now that I'm here and I'm painting my highlights, you can give it a single fold for a highlight. I typically will, if it's a highlight section, or I will leave it longer if it's a painted section so that I can really map out where those painted pieces are. You just want to think about what it's going to look like when it's in a ponytail. Placing my foil down and allowing my highlights, as I get lower and lower with my highlights, allowing them to be a little bit of a heavier pickup is okay. Because then you kind of just get these like really pretty ribbons of colors throughout the hair. Now this is a unique little area because this area, now that you're transitioning in through the top, I do want to see a little bit of pops through those ends. So now that I've gotten all of the highlights in, and now we're really at that diagonal back. So we're actually going to just look at the last, we're gonna leave this area of depth, the last 2 foils worth of low light, and we're gonna do a weave pickup. It's just incorporating some of the hair and teased. We can move these away and tease, and we're just tipping the ends. So the ends, it's very much a very soft, organic, pretty little flex through these ends right here. and we're gonna do that in a W. So now you can take down this side of the mohawk section, and I'm just gonna tilt her towards you guys a little bit. So especially in this interior area where the parietal ridge is, you can really incorporate some depth so that that brightness kind of pops over top of it. So this is the area where it's hard to refrain from getting close up to the root because it's like this area right here. But on a brunette, you kind of want that depth and you want that kind of almost like a almond shaped section of depth. And we're just gonna pop in 3 to 4 highlights in this area on a horizontal, and making sure that we are picking up enough hair in this area because of how low we're painting it. And I'm gonna leave that section out so that I remember not to highlight it. Because if you do, then what's gonna happen on both sides, you're gonna have highlights meeting up to highlights, and it'll look super, super bold. So that because all of these ribbons of color are coming from the underneath, but this top section is definitely gonna be pretty obvious and pretty bold right through the top there. And making sure that these highlights really match where you left off here and go back from there. Now, once I'm done applying this, you can kind of guess where I'm headed with the hair underneath this. I am going to take the last 2 sections, 1 and 2 here, over direct them forward, right? Just to keep that painting pattern alternating, to keep it from being too same. Here we did a heavy weave pickup, then a bold slice that we painted on the ends, incorporating some of that depth in between. And then we kind of repeated that pattern where we did a weave pickup, 2 more weave pickups, and then combining the hair and painting our W. And then same pattern up through the top, making sure that all of our baby lights, or some of them are becoming more highlighted through this area. So in this back section, it's pretty dang easy when it comes to brunettes, especially compared to having to pack in a million foil. Maybe some do, but for the most part, I'm trying to create this really organic effect of just like a little bit of highlights coming through here, even softer through the sides, and like near nothing through the underneath, keeping them a brunette. And so you can see that there's just this hairline section here. So I'm taking essentially a big triangle and then just clipping this top part away. And these highlights are going to be taken a little bit thicker because they're underneath. So remember, we had that pretty big section underneath and we started our highlights a little bit higher up, but we are incorporating that hair here through the ends and through this tipping. Nice big heavy weave pickup, so we still have a little bit of low light here to help connect and balance all of that beautiful brunette hair from the front and still create a little bit of a backdrop. Just to start incorporating some of those highlights. And I was, pretty low throughout the nape area, but I was even lower because we wanted that diagonal back that was about 1 inch up to about 3 inches down to kind of like have this be the rounded out area. The last foil, we have arrived. So now we're just going to let this process and check it as it lifts and make sure your client's comfortable. So we've got those ribbons of color coming from the top, connecting through those sides, but lots of beautiful backdrops happening within this look. And actually, let me show you what she looks like when you put her hair up. So she's got that nice shadow with that little bit of highlight. So pretty and so soft, but still has a bit of a money piece, a bit of that bold pop in the front. But yeah, so she's got some really pretty, really gradient blonde things happening through those ends. And pops all around. You're still getting that gradient dark to light effect with a bit of a money piece, but it's not overbearing. So she has lots and lots of depth coming through all over, but she still has that aesthetic and just that cool girl factor, right?